Mr. Neal, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next is public comment. Any public comment? Okay. Okay, next we'll move on to highway. Randy?
Hi, everybody. So basically we've been plowing snow and dealing with the cold weather, garbage, recycling, and such. Rumor mill may have, I guess, spread a nasty rumor that somehow we had an accident with one of our plow trucks. We did not have really an accident. What did happen with the truck that plows the state highway was the cutting edge caught the expansion joint, and in that process pulled the part of the steel expansion joint out, and also broke a part of our cutting edge. Then that truck went back to the shop to get repaired. I made a phone call to the state, and we had someone from Wells State DOT office come up, and also the engineer come down from Indian Lake, and I also made a call and got the sheriff's department down there because that piece of angle iron was sticking up in the driving lane. So we, between the two of us, cut and smoothed out as best we could at that point the area in which the angle iron was broke. So it is drivable and passable, obviously, but it is not plowable. The expansion joint has been damaged in such a way that it will catch all the plows now, including I tried even plowing it with the plow truck that goes on my truck, and it's a challenge just to get over the bridge at that point because there's such a gap in the area that the cutting edges want to catch on it. So in tomorrow's snowstorm, and then everyone between now and springtime, you're going to notice that bridge is not plowed as well as the rest of the roads. So the state of New York has told us to not plow it.
Which bridge is this, Brent?
This is I call the Lake Pleasant Outlet Bridge down by the public beach. So we are picking our plows. The state road truck is picking the plows up at one side and setting them down on the other side so that we don't damage our truck anymore.
Randy, can I just cut you off so you can just explain why that happened?
Well, the biggest reason is this, and I don't want to make it anything look worse than it is. The concrete is eroded away from around the expansion joint metal, and over the years gotten worse, and now we finally bought it. It needs repair, and now that we hacked it apart with torches and chop saws, a demolition saw, I'm feeling that they're going to have to do something this summer to it. They promised me they'd have the bridge crew come up and look at it and, rectify it as best they could for the winter. And I'm waiting for the lift your plow signs to appear, because that's usually what happens. So we have a set of them up north on one of the bridges we cross because of kind of the same scenario. And now we'll have another set down here for this one. I will try to, as much as I can, go down there with this pickup truck and plow it off so it doesn't get out of hand, but it's mostly going to be salt applicated. So that was the interim remedy right now for the state. I understand they can't go and fix, the bridges in the middle of the winter. So, the other thing we're having issues with is Snowmobile Trails. I've been giving reports to Donna Bankovich as best I can. The problem being is down in Elm Lake Road, Cave Hill area, They are logging south of town, and they are going in coming out Elm Lake Road via Cave Hill Road. Cave Hill Road is closed to snowmobiles. The old Route 30 is a shared road for about a mile and a half. Obviously, I am not a proponent of shared roads. That's why I don't, in any of our areas, allow it, because nobody in the snowmobile world ever goes on the trail. They always run down the plowed road.
Sorry, I can't come to the phone right now. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you. Sorry. Thank you.
So,
Hi, Deb.
what happens is the log trucks, snowmobiles, and fortunately so far we haven't had any major accidents, but it's, it's going to be death if it ever does happen. The log trucks are coming up over Cave Hill and coming down that mountain, and they start off at 2 miles an hour and they end up sometimes 25, 30 miles an hour trying to maintain the log truck. And if a snowmobile is coming the other way, it's not that they don't want to stop. The log truck can't stop, and it's going to be a ugly situation. And they've had it where they've sent escort pickups in front of the log trucks because there's so many snowmobiles going up and down that road. Now, we had signs up. We had the little signs. I sent 2 guys Friday to barricade things off. They put 6 barricades up, and before they got done putting them up, the snowmobilers were going around them. So total lack of anything as far as they just don't care. I found out that those individuals were leasees for Lime Timber, and I called Lime Timber. They sent out a notice, put it on Facebook, everything else, to try to stop even the leasees from using Cave Hill. And now, once again, not only did they go around the barricades, they moved the barricades this weekend. So, my hands are tied. I just can't fix stupid. Somebody's going to die, and then, it's, a sad fact, but I've done everything but put a gate up and shut it off that way.
Whose law enforcement district is that?
That is obviously state land, so I've notified the forest rangers. They told me they were going to patrol it. I know that evening the state troopers patrolled it, that area. And it's they're supposed to be down there this weekend setting up camp to curb it, but as you know, Don, snowmobilers are riding these things 24 hours a day. And the log trucks are running from anywhere from 3 o'clock in the morning till midnight.
I've heard reports that they're riding heavy on Elm Lake Road too.
Right. Elm Lake Road is open, except, from the end
on the paved section.
All of the paved is like, that's another scenario completely. There's a section of the trail that had to be closed, and some of the landowners are using Elm Lake Road to get to the trail system now.
Randy, that's actually conservation easement land there, not state land, right?
Correct.
It would still be Encon folks, but
yes.
That's actually Lime Timber property. It's just an easement area.
Correct.
Well, I don't know if you other folks have seen it, but multiple postings today and last night on Facebook speaking to that exact area and wanting people to be careful, talking to the lessees themselves and anybody who's riding as well. So they're trying to get the word out.
Yeah, we've done everything that I can think of except for having a man guard 24 hours a day. And I hate to say it, but if they start losing contractors that will drive those roads with the log trucks, I am sure Lime Timber is going to pursue the opposite, which is shut the whole tree farm snowmobile trail system down. And it's only a matter of time until they pursue that, because they have to get the logs out, and they only have so many contractors that are insured by themselves, so
I told you it was town.
a liability issue.
Right where
Another one?
where Anna's way is?
Excuse me, somebody, your mic is on. Could you shut it off?
Yeah, that was Faith. Yeah. Got it. So thing on the schedule was, which was a good testing ground for it, was the heating in the wash bay. Last week, 2 days, we had one day to figure out what was going on with the heater, the boiler, and Thursday he came back and replaced 2 parts in it, and it was working fine all the way till Sunday. Sunday we lost heat again in the boiler room. The boiler went off and I couldn't reset it. So we figured out that because I had to take a steamer, hot water steamer to the propane regulator outside, and once I got the regulator warmed up, the boiler started working again. So I made a phone call today to Eldridge, and they are putting us on the list to either put alcohol or methanol, something in the tank to dry out the moisture that's in there, or which I asked for was a complete changing of the regulator. The regulator's been swapped in and out, different areas, different scenarios since we've owned it, and that's 10 years ago. So I say it's due time for, number one, put a new regulator in, and then number two, put something in the tank that's going to keep the moisture out of the lines.
Is that a lease tank or does the town own that?
No, that is the tank that we got from the library, the buried tank now. So we own all the equipment now.
All right.
So that's why I'm requesting a new regulator put in. So, if there's no more questions, that's all I have.
Okay, next we'll go to old business, BST. Our audit is complete. Today, Jody from the County Treasurer's Office, myself, Debbie, Randy, and Nancy all had a Zoom meeting with the folks from BST to go over a few items. We were busy pulling out paperwork so that we could see what they were talking about, make sure we had backup and everything was in line. There's a couple of more things that we have to do, that paperwork we're waiting on, and then that will be completed. So there's pretty much it's done, except for the final last 2 things that I have to get to them in the next couple of days. Any questions on that? Finally, it's happened. It's done.
Yep.
Okay. Next is Auctions International report. After speaking with RJ last week after our last meeting, we found out that they do not start an auction with a minimum bid. If at the end of the 2-week period we are not happy with the amount, we can go ahead and start the bidding process again. So at this point, we're going to just leave it at that. That's the way they operate. That's their guidelines, and it's just we all assumed we had to come up with a minimum bid, and we didn't. So that's it on that.
I have questions about that, Betsy.
Sure, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, we also have in that, which I didn't catch it when we voted on it, that we were requesting sealed bids. And in my mind, that eliminates the whole purpose of having an auction.
No, there's no sealed bids.
I think it was one of the options, but
That was an option, but we didn't go with it. We went with Auctions International. Either they could do it online, or they could
I
contact
think the
Auction.
resolution said sealed bids with Auction International. I just would like somebody to check on that. I think it's in your minutes, Deb.
I'm looking at my notes.
You know what?
All I have
There may be a little confusion is for people that don't have internet.
Right.
For Auctions International, they can send them a sealed bid. Isn't that what he said, Debbie? But otherwise, it was all through the internet.
Yeah, I don't have anything about sealed bids in my minutes. I just had that
Yeah.
You had mentioned that, Betsy, that for those people who have no way to bid online,
Yes.
they can issue a sealed bid too.
But
Auctions
but
International.
they're gonna advertise all that stuff. We don't, we're jumping to
Right.
conclusions on this. Where, when we spoke to him on the phone that day, he's gonna play it all out to us. We just have to be patient and wait for that package to come to us, and then we can go from there. My understanding was.
But yeah.
We're not running the show. We're hiring them to run the show for us.
Are they also going to be placing all the ads?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I did send all that paperwork. I sent a picture, a copy of the sign that's going to go on the property to everyone.
Okay.
And with that, there was also, they actually, I think it was 50 different newspapers
Yep. And then
throughout the state,
Right.
north, south, east, and west.
Do they? Are the ads going to say it's subject to a permissive referendum? The sale of this property? Their ads don't have to say it. Yours do, Debbie.
I'm not advertising. They're doing it all.
Well, we have to by law advertising that the decision is subject to a permissive referendum.
Well, isn't that what we already did?
We already did that.
Did we do it?
Well, when we decided we were going to do that, we put it out for permissive referendum until January
Yeah.
6th, and then we had no response about it. And then we took it upon ourselves to do what we did, but we waited, the time for permissive referendum, and we had nobody pass a petition about it.
Correct.
I can't remember that now. Thank you.
Okay.
And what about the letter to the right-of-way holders?
The letter to the right-of-way holders, what I did is I sent a copy of our resolution to the attorney for him to contact all of them so that we would not be sending a letter ourselves. It's up to the attorney to do that. So that went to him. That went to him 2 days after our meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Right, and the draft, once the board approves the draft, that letter can be sent to the attorney for him to disseminate to who he sees fit. Is that right, Nancy? Sorry, Betsy.
Betsy. What draft letter?
You said you already sent it.
No, I sent to their attorney, the right-of-way folks' attorney. I sent him a copy of our resolution letting him know that the board approved for Auctions International to take over and work on the sale, that we would not be handling it ourselves. So he has all that information, which I asked him to send on to his right-of-way folks that it had been requested at our meeting.
Betsy and I kind of talked about it after we had talked to RJ that day, and we felt by sending it to the attorney, we were kind of covering ourselves, because if we forget to send one to somebody, or we didn't do it,
Right, of course.
we didn't want that coming back at us. So that's why we were advised to use their attorney on it.
When did that letter go?
There was no letter.
Two days after.
Betsy sent a resolution to your attorney explaining it.
Yes, Neil.
Been here. I was jumping on the agenda. I misunderstood what Chris was asking. I thought she was asking about the RO letter.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I said.
No.
She was.
Okay.
No, I
No,
don't.
she was asking about the right of way as opposed to RO, two different things.
Oh.
Got it. Okay.
RO was reverse osmosis. It's the next agenda item. I jumped the gun.
So, is there anything else on the Auctions International? Everybody set on that?
Yes.
Okay. So then next, Neil, we're going to the discussion on the letter to the RO owner systems. Would you like to speak?
Well, only to say that it can be pretty confusing when you're talking about right of way and the very next thing
Yeah.
is RO. I can see where anyone would be confused. But I did draft a letter to be to the supervisor to be shared with everyone else. And if that seems as approved by everyone else, then we can get that moving.
Okay. So everyone had a chance to look at it. I'm just curious, did anybody have any additions or questions or concerns?
Nothing came by email, but
No.
that would be the.
No, I thought it was fun.
Okay. So then we'll go ahead and put it together and we'll go ahead and get that out. Everybody's in agreement? So I guess I'm looking for a motion to move that we send a letter to all the RO owners, letting them know of the town's responsibilities. So I'm looking for a motion. A second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so Neil will take care of that. Okay, next we have new business. We have Bob Bankovich. Are you on? No. Okay. Well,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, I was muted.
that's okay. I was gonna move you on to the end of the meeting. Okay, go ahead, Bob, you've got the floor.
Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me all right. You all should have a copy of the end of your report. And in order to update you on the building department activities for the year 2020, I would like to offer you the following summary. We had a total of 125 building permits issued in the town of Lake Pleasant in 2020. By comparison, there were only 88 listed last year, 2019. The permits issued were as follows. We had 20 permits for new residential buildings. Of these, 8 were for single-family dwellings, with one of those permits being a renewal, 12 for garages, storage buildings, or sheds, and 4 of those were renewals. We had 3 permits issued for new commercial buildings. 2 of those were at Camp Fowler, and one of those is for G.H. Wood for his property on Route 8. There were 14 permits for additions. As you know, additions include the increasing of the size of an existing footprint or enclosing an existing structure to create more living space. Of these, 3 permits were renewals. There were 33 permits for alterations. This group of permits includes structural changes to a building, complete change of a system, or upgrades to existing systems, and of those, only 2 permits were renewals. We had 23 permits for septic systems or repairs to septic systems, and of these, 3 permits were renewals. We had 9 permits for wells with 2 renewals, 12 permits for demolitions, sheds and other such things, 7 permits for decks and porches. We had 2 permits for signs, 1 permit for a temporary tent structure, and 1 permit for a semi-in-ground pool. For 2020, there was 1 certificate of occupancy issued and 19 certificates of compliance issued. The CO issued was to Nelson Dodge for single-family dwelling on Moffett Beach Road. The 19 certificates of compliance issued were for various projects ranging from additions or major alterations to smaller project system upgrades, making sure that compliance to the New York State building codes was adhered to. There were no stop work orders issued in 2020. We did have 3 fire department notices received by this office. 1 was for a fire at the Buckley residence located at 280 Fish Mountain Road. That residence has since been sold and refurbished from the fire. We had another fire at the Marks residence located at 258 Page Street. We have not heard from them. The house is in disrepair. It has red tape surrounding it, and we have not heard back yet from the owner. The third notice was for a fire at the Wheeler residence located at 177 Golf Course Road, and they got a letter also and since have torn that place down and are planning on rebuilding. If you have any other questions concerning the above information, please ask. That's all I have, Betsy.
Bob, maybe could you give a little update on the Williamson system, how that's working for you?
Sure. We've had some training on the Williamson system probably about 2.5 hours. So far, we've been producing permits. Again, it hasn't been a problem. I've had a couple questions. They answer very fast when you do call them. They're very knowledgeable in their own system, so it's not a big problem for them. I'm learning more as I go. Again, on our end, as we put more properties into the system, we're going to have more information in the system. So as we add properties to the system, that's how things will populate the whole computer system. So it's working very well.
Good. Great. Anybody have any questions for Bob?
Are public allowed to ask a question?
At the end, if you'd like, I could open certainly up to public comment. I can do that at the end of the meeting.
Just a short one.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to bring up to everybody, at our last meeting on January 19th, we had passed resolution number 15 to start with the assessed value of the 63.3 as a minimum bid for the Golf Course Road property. At this time, since we're not starting with a minimum bid, I would like to rescind that resolution. So I'm looking for a motion to rescind it.
So moved.
Okay, a second.
What was that bid again?
I'm sorry, who asked?
Dick Myers.
Oh, it's not public comment, Dick. This is just for the board right now.
Well, you just said something. I didn't hear you.
Okay, what I asked is at the meeting on January 19th, we passed a resolution number 15 to start with the assessed value of 63.3 as the minimum bid for our Golf Course Road property. Now that we're not starting with a minimum bid, I am asking the board to rescind that resolution. And Chris moved it. I'm looking for a second.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll second it.
Okay, Don? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that's taken care of. Okay, so next is our budget transfers. I sent all the budget transfers to everyone. Everyone have a chance to look them over. It's the end of the year 2020. So I guess I'm looking for a motion to move it.
I'll move it.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next is committee reports. Does anybody have any committee reports to report, speak up? No? Nobody? Okay, next I'm looking for a motion to pay the bills from the January 22nd abstract.
Ancient.
Okay, Don was first, Nancy was second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, February 16th. We're all in agreement to that, being the 15th is a holiday on Monday. Okay, and before I open up the round table, I'll go ahead and open up public comment. Ayers, did you have anything to say?
I just have a short question for Bob Benkowitz. Is he still on?
Bob?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm still here.
Okay. It's always been my understanding, I worked in the insurance business, that the APA required when a building burns on a property that the building must be rebuilt on the same footprint of the property. Bob, is that right?
The way it works is a building that burns down like that, you'll have to go to the APA to request a rebuild. And what can happen is the building, depending on the size of it, they will allow you to build 250 square foot more away from a lake, and they will allow you to go 2 foot higher. That's their rules. But yes, it pretty much is, you can't just build whatever the heck you want to build. No.
Well, isn't that property or the rebuild totally?
No.
Totally.
You're talking about the Wheeler property?
Yes.
No, it's not. The house is going to be pretty much the same size, 2 foot higher, and so the APA has approved all of it.
I guess my question was more or less, the building is going to be built where the garage was, and the septic system is being built where the house was. Seems controvertible to what APA standards are normally at.
Well, the building is not going to be built where the garage was. The garage is still standing.
Yeah, but they're tearing the garage down.
I don't know that for a fact yet. They have not applied to the APA to do that.
Oh, I know they are.
Okay.
Well, then you know something the rest of us don't know yet. But
Mr. Myers, excuse me, Bob. Mr. Myers, can I suggest if you have questions about that you call Bob at the office and he can help you?
I'd be absolutely glad to, because I think there's a controversial issue
Okay.
here.
yeah, I'd be glad to take your call. Not a problem. Or you can stop in, either or.
I can't stop in. I'm
Okay.
in Cicero, New York.
Oh, okay. Then please call us.
Okay,
Thank you.
so let's move on to roundtable.
Thank you, Betsy.
You're welcome. Okay, let's start. Nancy, anything for roundtable? No. Chris? Nope. Wow. Okay. Don?
I just wanted to ask Brandy how the new dumpster fees are working. Has anybody been complaining about it, or is it just business as usual?
Business as usual. Nobody's gotten a dumpster that hasn't already had one.
Okay.
Neil, do you have anything?
Well, I apologize. My internet cut out, so I missed a little bit of the end of Bob's report. Did we, while I was fumbling to get back on, did we establish when the meeting would be, the next meeting?
Yes, we're going to have it on Tuesday the 16th.
Good.
At what time, Betsy? 5:30?
5:30. Yes.
Do you ever plan to have these go back to location?
Mr. Myers, we're not open for public comment. I'm sorry.
I figures.
Moving on. Okay, so Neil, did you have anything for public comment?
Only, I thought you handled it very diplomatically. I don't know that I would have been as inclined, but the job done on the appraiser and the way they dropped the ball, I'm glad it was caught. I'm glad we went back to them, and I'm glad they got it right. But good for you and good for Barry Baker, and thank goodness.
Yeah. Well, we definitely went through plenty of resources to get it corrected, but it's good now. Okay, I really don't have much to report tonight. I just want to say that we did get another kickback check, this one from NYMER, for $294.55, a nice surprise. And that's basically, I think, all I have at this time. So I guess I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll do that.
And a second?
No, second.
Okay, everybody have a good night. And Chris, now you can go out of the closet.
Yeah.